Welcome to the ReConnected Grassfields languages. We are privileged to have a guest speaker, Dr. Morgan Dalphinis. Dr. Morgan Dalphinis holds a PhD in African and Caribbean languages, and he's going to be taking us through the similarity, the connection between the African languages and the patois, the Creole, the patois. So a bit about Dr. Dalphinis. He's a Saint Lucian born British author, linguist, and educator. So he wrote a couple books. So one of the books, which is that one, the History and Language in Saint Lucia between 1654 and 1915. So welcome, Dr. Dalphinis.
You all can see?
We can see.
That's it.
Okay, cool. Now the next thing is to go up and down. Okay. Oh, very good. Okay. You all set?
Yes, yes, we've had the introduction, so we'll let you go from here, then we'll have questions and everything after that.
Okay. Well, basically, what I'll be doing is talking through the general gist of my research related to this book here, Caribbean and African Languages. And after that, take some questions on it. I think we start with human beings in Africa being people who dominantly started the human race basically from southern Africa up the Rift Valley towards Ethiopia, and then later on populated the whole world, first going into Europe, then in terms of that Asia, and later on crossing the Straits of Bering to go down into the Americas, starting off as what people called Eskimos to people who then moved on to horses and were then called American Indians, moving then into South America, where the human being morphed into Arawaks and Caribs in the Caribbean area, who also inhabited South America. There were also migrations in Africa itself, the most important one being the Bantu migrations. The idea being that many of us were not happy with the feudal structures of the West African states. So we went to areas where we saw more land, i.e., to the south, and we went south via the forests of the Congo, and then also south eastwards towards the areas around Lake Victoria. The important thing is that when we went east, we gained lactose tolerance. Dominantly, if you have lactose intolerance and you're black, it's a good marker that your ancestors didn't move out of West Africa. If you do have some tolerance of lactose, that means your ancestors joined with the Bantu migrations, and through going through the Congo, it would be mainly diseases from the forest, and going eastwards, it was definitely lactose tolerance. It's also an argument that the white South Africans use against us in arguing, well, by the time we were in the area as white people, you guys had not moved further south. The main languages that we developed are in that yellow area on the map, the Niger Cordofanian, and in the areas north of that, the Nilo-Saharan. These are dominantly languages of Black people south of the Sahara. The people who were in the south, in the Mauve area, were mainly people within the Kalahari Desert, people of the ancestry of the late Nelson Mandela, or others who were known as Bushmen of the Kalahari, the San, etc. These are people of old origins, prehistoric origins. If you think of many of us coming from the south upwards, and not many of them got involved in the slave trade because the slave traders, didn't want to put themselves through the extra difficulty or cost of going through the Kalahari Desert. The people in blue were often not within the slave trade as victims, because many of them were perpetrators of slave trading under the Arabs. Often in the Arab texts, us in the yellow area and the orange area were known as people of the Bilad Sudan, land of the blacks. And according to some of their Quranic ideas, the idea was to reduce to the sword all pagan peoples, or what they call kafiri. And so the yellow area and the orange area were where all of us were invited to the sunny Caribbean, Carolina, and all of these holiday areas. In terms of the people we met within the Caribbean, in around 1600, the sources describe the groups there as being the Red Carib, of people who went down the Gulf of Mexico and into the Bahamas and further down. In the Creole language, they're responsible for many words of flora and fauna. So we would have in Saint Lucia les bichets, which is really a kind of sifter made of coral. But that word is a word from the Caribs, which we as Africans learnt from them. The later groups were then the island Carib and the Arawak, coming through Hispaniola, the Big Island, which encompasses both Haiti and the Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rico. They brought in flora and fauna, but they also brought some grammar, so that in our Creole we have, as well as I for he, she, or it, we also have li. So that is a kind of loan from Arawak l, meaning the same thing. We then come from that into the Black Carib. But before going into that, the island Carib, a result of the Red Carib invading the area of the Caribbean and basically conquering the Arawak who they found there. Their means of subjugation was to kill off the males and take over the women. But they brought up the children as if they were Caribs. The Carib were definitely more warlike, and basically had tattoos and other things showing their prowess. And the Arawak basically were defeated. But the children of the Arawak women and the invading Carib were known as the island Carib. Then came us, who joined them, and became the Black Carib in particularly areas such as St. Vincent. And with it, we brought some of the African elements in the Creole. So the word mun comes from Bantu muntu, meaning person, masculine singular. The plural would be Bantu, person plural, rather than the person singular of mun that we brought in it. The kind of, I suppose, meeting of each other was on the one hand positive, on the other hand negative. In terms of some of the Carib sayings, or what was recorded as them saying, was that they didn't like it that the blacks would come into their area and start sleeping with their children and their wives. On the other hand, both of us shared a common enemy, namely white people, and particularly those of us who ran into the forests. There was basically an avoidance of the plantation and a wish to be free of the plantation. And the Caribs and Arawaks, from their perspective, they wanted at one stage to rid themselves of all of the white people on the islands. So there was that kind of joint venture, but there was also friction. In terms of one Carib person, I think more in modern times, he talks about hating every drop of African in him, which spoilt his Carib roots. So that is that element. However, in the St. Lucian case, there's also the issue of fighting against the plantation system. In the case of a number of the French governors of St. Lucia, they had their heads cut off by the Caribs. Basically, the Caribs would basically jump into the window or elsewhere and bump off the French governors. I think at least one French governor tried to avoid that by marrying a Carib woman. The Caribs still came in and killed him. As well as that kind of war against the enemy as they saw it, they also had war on more fronts than St. Lucia. So that in Martinique, the Caribs, which is the island to the south of St. Lucia, there is the Caribs at that stage were talking about the French coming into their space and wanting to get rid of the French. However, the French technology, i.e. cannons, were things that, they found frightening, particularly the cannons. So one Carib description of the cannon was that it was like a mabouya, which is the word for one of the crabs in St. Lucia, but they saw it as a kind of big dragon coming for them. But at the same time, they viewed, both in Martinique and St. Lucia, the coming of the French as an invasion of their total territory. What happened then was that we carried our West African and Bantu grammar, and into it we put in the Creole language. We put in the European vocabulary to form the Creole languages. Typically in St. Lucia, the grammar would be Mandinka and Wolof, because the main people brought into St. Lucia in around 1600 were Senegambians. The reason for that was partly because the company the Company of Senegal was also the company that named the governor not only of Senegambia, but also of Saint Lucia. So, as far as they were concerned, i.e., the French, it was one territory with them posting or grabbing hold of the people who they enslaved in the Gambia and Senegal and bringing it to another territory also under their control. The main groups there would be Mandinka and Wolof. This comes out very clearly within the Creole grammar. So if you said in Wolof, garabla, you'd be saying tree the. So in St. Lucian Creole, it would be piebois a, tree the. In Mandinka, if you said sungut o, you'd be saying girl the in Mandinka. In St. Lucia, in St. Lucian Creole, you'd be saying tifi a. Another aspect is the ka in St. Lucia. In St. Lucia, you could say mwen ka vini, I am coming, or you could say mwen ka kopwan, I understand. In Mandinka, you'd say mka moi, I ka understand. This contrasts to the groups of people taken into Jamaica. For instance, the Jamaicans would have a mainly Twi speaking or other Ghanaian speaking language people, and the vocabulary would be English. So that you could say in Twi Mereko, I am in the process of coming. And typically the Jamaican Creole would give you mi akom. So different groups of us brought different types of grammatical material, which we linked up with different European vocabulary. In the St. Lucian case, by 1798, the main areas concerned in West Africa were Senegal and Gambia, as I said, Angola, which gave you the Congolese and the Umbundu. That comes up partly in St. Lucia with one lady who gave me a list of about 10 words, which were all Umbundu. Sution Umbulu, meaning pig meat, as well as Congo. In terms of that, one of the things we have is molokoi, soft of body, meaning lazy, in the Creole, coming from Congolese. We also have got this thing where when we cook rice, we usually cook it with red beans, but at times we cook it with small peas, and we call these peas Angolan peas, pois Angol. So both the Umbundu and Congo kingdoms at times were at war, and the resulting captives would have come, some of them, to St. Lucia. In Dahomey, we got the groups, the Evefon, coming in, and those brought us words such as nenen, meaning auntie. And that group is particularly interesting in a way because the film, I think, of the Warrior Queen is set in there, and it has resonances in the Caribbean, such as Toussaint Louverture's War, and certainly a Creole song, which goes something like this: Arada, toi y moi, Arada Traimwe, the kingdom or the area of Arada in Benin has betrayed me. So you have all of these areas coming into St. Lucia under the French. In 1815, when the British by then had installed themselves in St. Lucia, there were many wars between the French and English in St. Lucia, and at times there were no wars as such, and St. Lucia was just passed as a pawn to sweeten particular treaties. But in around the 1800s, definitely the English drove out the French. As well as driving out the French, they also had conquered our own revolution against slavery. In the 1600s and later, many of us ran into the St. Lucian forests. And then when the French Revolution came, we were all for it. We thought this was the best thing since sliced bread. So we joined it and cut off the heads of our masters. And for about 4 or 5 years, we were free. However, the English then came and defeated us. They sent some of us to England on a ship, and the ship sank just off the coast of Bristol. Others of us they put in Porchester Castle in the south of England, and others of us they used or sent back to some of the slave forts. So some of us were sent back to, in fact, Senegambia in the slave fort at Gorée. Some of us were sent back to slave forts in Sierra Leone. But nevertheless, that left a marker of expectation and freedom in St. Lucia, to such an extent that even after defeat, we went into the forests and continued guerrilla warfare for another 2 years. However, after the defeat, the people from eastern Nigeria, particularly the Igbos, were brought in, the Ghanaian Twi Fanti speakers, as well as the Yoruba. In the case of the eastern Nigerians, the Igbos themselves, their conflict was mainly about getting trade, and their conflicts with each other over securing trade led to many Igbos being exported to St. Lucia. So hence the word Beche and Beke are Igbo words meaning white people in our Creole. We also have Twi Fanti conflicts, i.e. the Fanti on the coast and the Twi in the inland area having their conflicts. Indeed, some of the Fanti at one stage had the audacity to kill one of the Asantehene, the supreme, one of their supreme kings among the Twi. So the Twi swore blood oaths they would get their revenge, and they basically won the next battles on the Fanti, and hence many of them were sent to British colonies. So hence in Jamaica you have the Cromanti group, and the British then wanting to ban the importation of the Cromanti, because as far as the British were concerned, it took them time to understand that some of the people they were importing were soldiers. So that group's conflicts led to their importation into St. Lucia. With that, we had a number of words such as whim, Inia Wim, he has a cold, coming from Chui Huim. And also we have the grammatical particle ye, sasa ye, what is this? And again coming from the Chui Fanti areas. The Western Nigerian people, mainly the Yoruba, were also brought in, but they were relatively few in number. They mainly came as what they called indentured laborers towards the end of the slave trade in St. Lucia. And they were part of a group who came on two boats, the Rattler and the Water Witch in St. Lucia, but they were relatively few in number. So from Yoruba, we have the word akara, which is basically a bean cake, or what we call a fish cake within St. Lucia. The theme, however, between the first group of Africans, the French territories, and the second group is that once the second group brought by the English came into St. Lucia, they followed St. Lucian habits and started running off into the forests as well. When the indentured laborers came, they also joined in. And when the indentured laborers were brought in from India, they also ran into the St. Lucian forests. In that kind of seesaw struggle, a number of songs were written by singers in St. Lucia. We have a tradition of the chanteuelle, if you like, the griot, but it's usually a female. And in most settings, the female will lead the singing. It could be church singing or it could be general singing. One famous one is Dame Sesen Descartes, and she sings this song, Mama ladi why, wadlo jabat mama, why, wadlo jabat papam, why, wadlo jibie mawen, why, sa se kana sovai, why, wadlo jabat mama, why? Because basically it describes the defeat of the St. Lucian revolutionaries by the English, the king of the sea. Wadlow, the king of the sea, has beaten my mother. Why? Wadlow has beaten my father. Wadlow, the savage seabird, it is a wild duck. Why? Wadlow has beaten our mothers. Why? So the oral literature carries some of the St. Lucian memory and is passed on. The song continues, Mamai ladi wai, leutan yo babie, se pa mwen yo pale, mamele pio. The children should say, why? When you hear them quarreling, it's not me they're speaking about. I don't care about them. A kind of disassociation, I guess, with whatever the French and the English get up to. This leads us down towards a kind of view, or I have a view, of oral literature and what it means through us, for us, through time. In 3.3 million years ago, Africans invent language and thought. And we are innovative and we are migrating. By the 1300s, you have the development of the African griot, singer, historian, who gives us a critique of power and gives us positive messages about ourselves. By the 1950s, you've got the Caribbean Calypsonian and the Chantuelle, again with critiques of power giving us positive messages. You also have the word calypso coming from kaiso, which is also a form of the word kaito in Hausa, which is supposed to be not having a don't give a damn attitude. You have in the 1960s many of the songs some old people like me know, whereby you have Black American singers leading the fight for thought, we are family. You have a whole plethora of songs of solidarity. However, in the same period, important black singers are assassinated. Important black leaders, are assassinated. By the 1970s, you get to the rappers, critique of power, some positive messages, but negative messages on the self and the promotion of gangsters and negative images of black women. By 1980s, you have rappers and grimers with the same kind of mix, some critique of power, some positive messages, but many negative messages. For me, my own aspirations would be a worldwide institute of African music and music industries dealing with copyright, manufacture, and distribution. But from the time humans were on this planet, Africans have led thought and innovation of thought has dominantly, as well as going through the written form, has also strongly gone through the oral form in terms of stories, in terms of song and music. In my book, History and Language in Saint Lucia, I go into more detail, splitting up some of the groups into subgroups. Particularly important there is I was able to look at the age ranges of some of the groups. So in terms of the people who were 70 plus, or if they lived that long, or 60 plus, they were dominantly Mandinkas and Wolofs or other Senegambians, because that was the first group. The youngsters below 42, 20s, etc., were dominantly Igbos. But I took my sample and then went through the sample by group. In terms of looking at the future in the present, I see Creoles fading in the present with the previous generation passing away, and sadly, my generation as well. Creoles in the Caribbean have gained some respect, but not in terms of use in education. They've begun policies of including the Creole in the education system, and in fact it's now an official language in Saint Lucia, and they've started putting it in the education system in the primary age ranges. In the African situation, although they're in formal use, they're often set aside in favor of European languages. I mean, certainly when I taught at the University of Maiduguri in northern Nigeria, when recruitment came for students, there would be one big pile for English, big but not so big one for French, and the smallest pile would be for African languages. I'm not saying that it isn't something that's logical, because lots of people would want a language which is attached to getting hold of money and opportunity. But at the same time, I think it's important that the languages of origin are also kept in the play. It points to lack of Black African financial self-investment and culture, and the process of assimilation into European cultures and languages, with the exception of song and music. So even though we've shifted the language, we've managed to keep within the oral form the song and the music. And indeed, with the Black Americans, you can draw an even closer link where you all talk about jelly roll, etc. Whereas the word jelly, both in Mandinka and Wolof, means the singer, means the griot. In London, England, and New York, USA, the things I've advocated for are St. Lucian Creole lessons, history lessons. Sadly, in the St. Lucian case, they've only recently allowed opportunities in the CXC curriculum whereby you can do some history on your own island. The dominant syllabus is of Jamaica and Barbados, which do not quite share the same history. I think lessons about literature, within which I would include the oral literature, also a guidance on education and skills. Many of us have come into England, etc., and in some cases we didn't quite understand what was available in the school. In one case, they often would palm us off with less prestigious qualifications, such as the CSE, rather than putting us in the GCE, which had greater currency. But we didn't necessarily know that. So I think guidance in terms of what's going and which things you should choose is useful. Obviously, I would put health and fitness in our package, in that the fitter you are, the better for you, particularly in stressful situations and in situations that, at least in my time of coming to England, you could just be attacked by 3 people, 4 people for no reason other than being Black. I think each person should think about their own individual personal development plan. We're only on the planet for so many years, and then we die to arrive at, and also with it corresponding individual financial plan. But I mean, I may being affected by my work in local authorities, where the minute you made a proposal, you had to write underneath it, you had to answer the question, what is the financial concurrent? What is your objective? Okay, how is it going to be paid for? So, all in all, I've given you an overview of the St. Lucian case. And I've also given you a perspective on what Creoles are made of, as well as some of my own expectations. I'd be glad to take any questions at this point. What do I do now?
Yes. Does anyone have any questions? You can stop sharing your screen.
Okay, let me try and find it. Where do I find this thing which says, the thing which says share screen seems to have disappeared. Yeah, share is top right. So I go there, copy link.
No, that's not the share. Go down to the bottom of Zoom.
Yeah,
You should see where it says
yeah.
participants, chats, react. It should say share.
It doesn't have any of that.
I'm
Let
I'm
me
gonna I'm gonna kind of like stop it and then
Okay.
let me see.
okay.
I see it.
Okay, and then I'm gonna stop this one.
Okay. So
Okay.
what do I
Yeah,
do? You
we're
want?
good. You don't have to do anything now, but answer questions.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I,
So does anyone have any questions or comments? But first of all, I'd like to say thank you. That was definitely eye-opening. Um, and I just think about as you were going through that, probably about 3 days ago, I was sitting here thinking about how um these sayings that my dad said, right? So let me back that up. I never thought, or I didn't know when I became my dad because I never wanted to become my dad. But now I'm saying everything that my dad said, right? So it's like these sayings that African Americans who are probably of my age, I see you, Deborah, right? Like when do we become our parents? And I don't know when the date happened, but I realized that, I'm now my dad. And he used to always say these sayings that I feel are starting to be lost. And if there are African Americans in here, they know like these sayings, right? Like whenever somebody says, "I'm trying to make $1," and if y'all come on to say, what's the saying? I'm trying to make $1 out of
Out of
15
15
cents.
cents.
Out of 15 cents, right? Like
Yes.
these sayings that we have that, my dad used to say all the time, or the old people used to say, like, my name is Bennett. Y'all come on and share. My name is
And I
Bennett,
ain't in it.
and
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 I
I
I
ain't
ain't
in
ain't
in
it.
in
it.
And I
it.
ain't in it,
okay.
right? Like those things are starting to be lost to our children. So when you talked about the griot, and now I look back at my father and how he used to say these things, and now they mean something, right? They have meaning today. I mean, we could go through a plethora of those that we can all like, I remember my dad saying, y'all don't have it bad. We used to walk to school uphill
Mhm.
both ways
Through the
in the middle of the
forest,
winter.
through the
No shoes.
No shoes,
That's
right?
Barefoot.
that's it. Well,
Right.
I think okay. I think the best thing to do is start writing them down. There's certainly two books came through my hands years ago. One, I think, was a French guy. He wrote a book called Creole Proverbs. His name was Jardel, and he then linked the proverbs in the Creole to the equivalent in Africa. There was also a lady from Guyana. I only saw her manuscript before she published it, and what she did was list all of the Guyanese Creole proverbs, things that her parents told her, etc. I think those are important to write down. Um, the other thing is often they come out in the songs. Yeah, I mean Bob Marley's thing where he's saying, "Them belly full, but we hungry. A hungry man is an angry man." So you get the oral literature and the songs continuing that kind of tradition. In films, off and on, but under the, quote unquote, modernization, you may not hear a lot of them. So I think write them down, and if you can, in your own family, tape them. So at one stage, I taped at least 200 speakers in West Africa, another couple of hundred in Saint Lucia, another couple of hundred in London. And one of my headings were proverbs. And, people then, at least in two cases, I was able to give the modern person, a copy of the tape of their father or their grandfather saying something or singing something. So it's up to you, in terms of collecting what is there so that you can pass it on, or you can make use of it yourself.
I think based on what you're saying, I think it needs to be written down. But
Okay.
I went online and got all this, right? Because I couldn't remember them all. And the other thing is that we have to start using them. Like we say we would never be our parents. So we tend to hold back on those things because they sounded crazy to us and feel like it's going to sound crazy to our kids. But these are things that are so important in continuing. First of all, not just because of the meaning of it, but the connection that you have with the person who said it, right? So I will always be connected to my dad through these sayings. And if we don't give them in those instances, then that connection, in my opinion, is going to be lost because we can write these down, but they really mean nothing unless they're in a certain setting, right? Or coming from a certain person. Just like everyone on here and they could probably go back to the person who said it to them 300,000 times of, hey, look, y'all got it easy, man. Me used to walk to school uphill, but now as I got older, I'm like, how do you walk to school uphill both ways? Because at some point you got to come down. But hey, that's what he said. We walked to school both ways uphill with no shoes on in the middle of the winter. But it made me understand, okay, there's a certain uh, grit that you have to live in this world, right? Like there's these things
Sure, sure.
that never really become meaningful until you get to there's something that my dad used to always say in which is just keep on living, just keep on
Mm.
living, right? Like that was his thing, just keep on living, which is saying at some point you're gonna realize that you're gonna go through all these things that I'm telling you. And now, I don't live long enough that I'm starting off. Just like Deborah, like I'm like, what was that line that I crossed, or what age was it that I became my dad? The exact same thing I said I wasn't going to do, but now I realize it's so important to do to give to my kids as his dad gave to him, because he always used to say, my dad used to say this, my dad used to say that. And so when you said that griot piece, not even the songs, but just the sayings that now mean something and I live my life by. And I probably did then,
So
but didn't know it because it was just ingrained in me. So I'm not going to take up too much more time, but that just
no,
hit
I mean,
me.
what you're pointing to is that, the reason why some of these items became proverbs was that the ancestors found them valuable. So, if you like, the proverb and the song is really an archive. Yeah. So, I guess you're right. First of all, start recording them, and then also, pass them on. But the context is, although it's important, the actual intention, I think, is more important. I mean, one of the things among the Hausa was purely finding people just coming round in a circle, getting their drums and singing, and then, you'd hear a song goes, uh, Mutaba zei mutaba in lebra bei aikiba. The road would not be the road unless the laborer did his work. Okay. So it's almost as if the guy's giving you a jazz song and they're just saying something. But that could be said by any of us in different contexts. So my advice, start with your family, start taping them and keeping it, start writing it, and where you can, use them, you know.
Yeah, I'm about to abuse them for real. I think I got some catching up to do. So I'm gonna say it every time I get an opportunity to everyone, even if it's not the right time. I'm about to not just use it but abuse it because I don't. Again, I don't know what made me the other day think about that. And like the young people today don't have that because we haven't given it to them. And
No,
so,
no, no. I think it's a bit deeper. It's a bit more um, the values that we've now adopted, okay,
mm-hmm,
um, lead us to not sift our own value positively. Yeah.
mm-hmm,
Or, so that's one side of it. The other side is, I guess, if you do not have the connection going on around you, uh, it may be different or not there. I mean, in one thing about myself is I come from the south of the island. Nearly everybody there spoke Creole. If you were unfortunate from a Creole point of view to be born in Castries, the capital, where people were more bilingual or didn't speak Creole. Yeah. So that's one part of the reality. The other part is we don't understand that, let's say, the griot among some of the Southern African groups, if he made one mistake, they would kill him. Yeah. So it's not, he didn't say the right content, but he made a mistake in doing so. Among the Zulu, they have praise poems we call Izibongo. You could only dance for as long as your praise poems were being sung. You know, he was a master warrior. He killed so many of the Swana. He had so many children, etc. And the guy could dance to those praise poems. The minute the praise poetry stopped, he wouldn't be able to dance in their kind of custom. So we don't quite appreciate all of the things that go with the oral literature, with the song, with the intention. So I think if we can get to fully understand that, we may approach it differently.
absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for that, Sister Lanny.
Okay,
Okay.
so my question is, so you talked about the lactose intolerance, and you
Yes,
talked about how those who didn't migrate out of Africa,
West
they,
Africa.
excuse me,
Those who
I'm sorry,
didn't migrate out of West Africa.
out of West Africa, they're more likely to be lactose intolerant, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then those who did, what's the significance of that? Why is that so?
Well, some
But what's
people, sorry,
Go ahead, Lanny.
what were you saying?
Finish your question.
I'm just I'm wondering what's behind that dynamic? What makes that so? Because I was just having this conversation with I make vegan cheeses and things like that. I'm not lactose intolerant, but my
Mm-hmm.
my son is, and I have friends who are. And so I was just kind of wondering how that all came about, if this is related to that, or I
Yeah.
mean,
So the ones who went on the Bantu migration, yeah.
mhm,
So just around the Cameroon area and eastern Nigeria, you get people going down the bend of West Africa. The people below that bend are classed as Bantu language speakers. Yeah.
okay.
But the
Yes.
Bantu are ex-West Africans. Yeah. And
Okay. Okay.
it's interesting that the ones who went eastwards, where you've got lots of cow herding groups, developed the tolerance of lactose. So that
Okay.
means the guys who or ladies you find with lactose intolerance are more
Mhm.
likely to be people whose ancestors did not go among the Bantus. That's
Okay.
all. It's
So,
like it's like this thing. What do they call it? Some people have got this inbuilt defense against mosquitoes. Yeah,
mhm.
but
I don't have that. I wish
that
I did.
no no,
Me too.
but
Me three.
it gives them real problems in terms of their health. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but
Uh-huh.
that goes
Yes.
throughout Africa, north, south, east, and west. Okay,
Mhm.
but this
Okay.
particular one is a bit specific.
That is so
Okay, I
interesting.
understand. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
No problem.
that is just so interesting how, and thank you for bringing that question up. Because I had the same question, but I kind of lost it. But it's just so interesting how these small dynamics change us over time,
Oh, sure.
and we don't really understand how that goes. So absolutely. Dr. Aubrey,
Thank
you
How
got
you
you.
doing?
yes.
Lisa.
Doing good. My name is Chandler.
Doc-
I'll be your servant. All right, Chandler.
Hello, Dr. Dolphins. That was
Yes,
a
I can hear you.
fantastic presentation. Thank you.
It's
And
very
I
kind of you.
appreciate the way that you linked anthropology through the migrations to health issues, to issues of ethnic ancestry, and then to music and oral archives. I mean, we really have gotten so much in this presentation. A couple of questions. I have more, but to be short
We
and
got
to allow.
time. We got time. Go ahead and ask your questions.
One is there an interest in Saint Lucia today of individuals and families tracing their ethnicity back to Africa? Are people interested in DNA testing? Do they want to know where they come from in Africa?
I am sure they are. Partly because within the Creole, they have, you were either supposed to be a T-Congo, meaning a descendant of the Congolese, or
Uh-huh.
you were supposed to be T-Guinea, i.e., a Guinea St. Lucian. So people knew or had those kind of reference points. So
Mhm.
some of them in the modern times would be naturally interested. On
Mhm.
the other hand, the main well, that's purely from my point of view. The
Mm.
main kind of thing in the brain is the idea of quote unquote modernization, yeah, being a modern Saint Lucian,
Yeah.
being a developed Saint Lucian, and sadly, the notion of Africa is still one of not being quote unquote developed, even amongst the so-called educated. When you know, I mean, one guy started talking to me about development, and in his mind, it was get more hotels and tourists in.
Yeah.
Um, uh, because of my jobs in England, I explained to him development doesn't work that way. For real development, you need a plan. You need to, for instance, get the technology lined up, get the sponsors lined up, have an idea of the objectives you want to reach, etc. But so we don't really have a fully developed sense of where we are and where we want to go. I mean, that's why the book by Walter Rodney, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa, had such an impact in the Caribbean and amongst us, because this guy spelt it out. I mean, if lots of your young population went off in the slave trade, effectively your nation was underdeveloped.
Yes.
But
Yes.
particularly amongst the young crowd, they would not they've not had the tools to think about things in that way. They mainly think, not all of them, but quite a number of them think, look, I must get to America. When I get there, all the opportunities in the world are there, etc. And as a consequence, that is my target. In the case of St. Lucian history, that's also a problem, because dominantly we've been taught, okay, we were conquered by the English, by the French 12 times and 13 times by the English. So we are the Helen of the West. We are the prize target. And so when you've learned such a history, or that version of history, your view is that, well, I am valuable part of this empire, and the closer I get to it, the better for me. So that is a problem. Some of them are definitely interested on a kind of more human point, where am I from, etc. And certainly with the University of the West Indies, there's a great interest in the issue of being paid back for the years of slavery that we did. In fact, there's a whole department in the University of the West Indies on that. Some islands have had more ties with Africa. Definitely Cuba has got lots of ties. Some others are developing ties. So in the St. Lucian case, we've signed a memorandum of agreement with Nigeria. So there are ties, but in terms of the thinking through, I think there's a lot of work to be done. I'll just give you a simple example. The current Prime Minister started talking about, well, we need to be more self-sufficient. Therefore, the banana crop is something we should consider eating more of. Yeah. One of the cartoons against him was they had him dressed in a skirt made of bananas. Okay. Remember, these are guys and girls who, oh yes, there's Kentucky Fried Chickens, just come in, you know? So I'd say yes, people are interested, but in terms of fundamentally deeper interest, if I was doing it, I would start with, Useti Congo, eh bien, Tigine. Are you of the Little Congo group, or are you of the Guinea group? And take it, if you like, in their terms. But I think that whole area needs a lot of work to move further down the line. There are some films that have been made. I think one, Professor Figura did one about the Kele ceremony in Saint Lucia, and many people have seen that. The Kele is a custom whereby we cut off the head of a ram or a sheep. We collect the blood in a calabash. We smash the calabash, and then we start singing to the ancestors in Africa. Andio, Andio, Yondinu Jamo a Colonia. Tell them in Africa, one of us has died in the colony. So people of the generation above would have had access to those ceremonies. There'd be less of them these days. Definitely there's a film that has circulated. But I think, the entire Caribbean needs a more in-depth analysis as to what it considers development to be. And secondly, how does it relate personally to them?
Thank you so much for that.
You had two questions. I just dealt with one. What was the next one?
Well, now I have another one. How often is the festival held? Is it still
that one would that would have been whenever somebody died.
Okay.
Yeah. And
so
if they had, it's not like we're going to have it like that. It's particularly if somebody died in a particular community. In terms of the festivals of death, I mean, we mainly in the past would tell stories. So the death of an individual would be a time for telling stories. The stories would begin ting ting, washes, tout ça bon Dieu mette à sous la terre, toutes choses. Ting ting, mandinka, taling, taling. What has God put on the earth? Everything. Then you tell your story. So we'd tell stories, we'd have proverbs. People in the past, mainly from the countryside, would come down with their violins and play. The whole idea being to cheer up the people.
Yes.
There'd also be rum, because when we're born, we're bathed in rum and water. And when we die, you're supposed to be bathed in rum. The idea is that you've come on this earth, and we are serving two liquids, the white, which is the rum, and the black, meaning the coffee. So at death, you would have singing, dancing, storytelling, and also at the time, well, for good and for bad, some people would just appear because they hear there's drinks.
Yes.
they'd be coming to too. But its main effectiveness is to cheer up the family of the
Bereaved.
deceased.
Yeah.
And so what you'd need is to observe some of the funerals. Often it would be in the countryside, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and that would be it. The Kele would be in a particular district in Saint Lucia where they had it. But you know, they're particularly in my time, everything you did was a link. You know, I mean, in the countryside, you know, when we went to go and drink water, there'd be a bucket made of wood, and then there'd be a small calabash with how do they call it, a stick through it, and you'd dip into the water, but the first thing you'd do is throw some on the ground. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
only when I arrived in West Africa, I realized that we were pouring libations. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
So if you watch the society, particularly older people, you will find various links, etc.
So
Thank you.
We call
before Dr. Aubrey,
we
before
call
you go to your next question, go
Yes.
ahead, finish Daphne.
no, all I was saying is we call the ancestors Ayel.
Oh, okay.
Ayel mwen, my ancestors. Okay. Ayel mwen se Jine. My ancestors are Guinea people. Ayel mwen se Congo. Mwen mem se T Congo. I am a little Congo. Yeah. Or I'm a little Guinea. And
Yes.
then you'd also have the songs which reiterate some of this. You know, I mean, my favorite one is Dendelo ti Congo asulame mama. Dendelo ti Congo kanaviji papa. Dendelo, the little Congo is on the water, mother. Dendelo, the little Congo is navigating. So you'll find the bits of oral literature, but in terms of putting it together in a sustained way, you know, we had or still have a folk research center which used to bring all of these things together, but sadly, although it still exists, the building was burnt, so it's no more. And a copy of my doctorate went up in that.
Oh,
But I send them a new copy online.
yes.
Yeah.
Well,
So just real quick before you ask your next question, the people have been asking about your book and how to get it, and I want to make sure. And I think Brother Malcolm just put something in, but I know sometimes, depending on what country the book is in, it's
Well,
kind of a challenge to get it. So
Amazon is the, you'll find both of them there.
okay, so if Brother Malcolm put it on there again, just because
Yeah.
somebody asked, I wanted to make sure they had an opportunity to get your book.
Okay. The cheapest book, but yet the more cost-effective book is that one. Okay. Okay, it's just £15 in English money. This one is more expensive. Yeah. It's bigger and covers more ground. But you know, if I was yeah, they're both good value, but the smaller one packs in more because by that stage I grew older.
So I've also add my phone number just in case anyone got an issue because I remember that I was trying to order for Border Garden and then it wasn't working online for anyone outside the UK. So if they want to
Serious.
order, yeah, we tried that before and it wasn't working. So just in case it
Okay.
order on Amazon, I've added my phone number there. You can call me, then I'll contact Dr. Dalfini.
Okay. No problem.
Get
Yeah,
that sorted.
and that's why, right, that's why I tried to get you on it if there was an easier way. But this is a good conversation, and I know I don't know everyone on here, but I know Dr. Aubrey
No
is the
questions.
speaks the Creole, so I'm pretty sure this was good to her. So I'm
We
going to ask Dr. Aubrey to give one more question, then we're going to go to Boris.
Okay. Well, I'll just pack two in and see because they're related.
Okay, go ahead. Yep.
So the question is, are there memorial sites in Saint
Hmm.
Lucia? Sites like Bimbia, sites like Badagry, sites like Elmina, Cape Coast. Are there some that exist today in Saint Lucia? And also your last name, Dauphin. Can you
Dalphinis.
a little bit about your last name? Is it connected
Okay.
to Grenoble in France? So because
I'll
also
come to my name. There's two questions. Let's start with the points. They've got a number of places like Rabot, where part of our rebellion and revolution started. They've got another point near to the north of the island where they've got a sign talking about the Maroons. The rest, yeah, there's a plantation certainly in the center, and I know of at least two plantations where you can go and they talk a little about it. One of them is the Balin Bouche plantation, which means bullet in the mouth plantation.
ah,
That was owned by the wife's family of a British prime minister. So that's one that sticks. There's another one I definitely know in the center where they offer tours, but not have that in my mind.
okay.
Other than that, your best bet is to find guides who will take you there and who have this kind of information. What I'll try and do is ask a friend back in St. Lucia and text you a kind of guide that he would recommend.
Okay.
Other than that, typically what they will do is say bring you to the sites where the English and the French fought. This is
Yes.
the fort, the English and the French fought here. That
Yes.
means unvaluable. But
Yeah.
they kind of, it reminds me of James Baldwin, where he says, "Nobody knows my name."
Yes.
So it's that kind of setup.
Yes.
In relation to my name, it's either it's a complex piece.
Oh, we can't hear him.
Okay, is that better?
Okay.
Yeah,
Now,
that's good.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. In terms of my name, you could say Dalphinis as it is, or you could put D apostrophe Alphinis. Okay. The nearest I got to trying to trace it was because I went through lots of slave records. So I found in the 1800s a slave with that kind of name. It wasn't
Grand
the
Patron
exact
margarita. Yeah.
Sorry?
Actually, there was a mix-up. I am.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I found the person with that name in the records of the domestic slaves in the capital, belonging to a Saint Lucian family who were mainly judges. Yeah. But it was a funny story. I told my mom in Saint Lucia, well, this is the nearest I came for the name. It's people with that name in Saint Lucia who who um, who owned them, and the family with the name of the owners was around 4 tables away.
Ah,
so so my mom then said, let me go and tell the man to give me my damn money. But I had to calm her down and say, look, Mom, it's similar, but I don't know. So that's her straight approach. The name of the owners was interesting because they got money as what do they call it, as recompense under the British. Yeah, so the one who was the first owner passed them on to there were 8 of us, or 8 in that bundle, 8 slaves, and they passed them on to their child, and that child got paid compensation by the British for the slaves that they owned. But in looking at the name, I ran into various possibilities. You've got Dauphin, which means the prince. So that's an area in France, the Dauphiné.
Oui, c'est
And
ça.
it means, we say the regent. So I could be descendant of the King of France, etc. And one good way of getting rid of royalty is to send them in the Caribbean so they become black, so they can't inherit. So that was one line. There's another line where you've got the Delphic oracle. Yeah. And that would be the nearest link to that is some of them were Africans, the Delphic oracles there. Then you've got the Dalphin, which were basically Irish rebels who created a brotherhood. The last one I thought was the most likely, where in the Bible it says that in Dalphin, in the biblical word is basically the blacks. Yeah. So if you read it, Morgan of the blacks.
Okay.
I think that is the more likely reality. But one of the problems in the probably in all islands is that you've got this lists of people who were paid compensation for their slaves in England. I've forgotten its name. University College website. So you'd go into that website, etc. And in the St. Lucian case, one of the issues that I raise in my book is, well, look, some of the names of the slave owners are modern day prominent St. Lucians.
Yes.
So it's like, we are mixed, both enemies and friends,
Yes.
in terms of that. But the class system is relatively clear in that at a certain stage the pre-coloreds developed as a group in St. Lucia, i.e., they were the people who were children of slave masters and slaves. And
Yeah.
they had higher status, and they inherited more wealth. In one stage, they owned at least 1/3 of Castries Harbour, and their argument was they wanted the British to get rid of French laws in order that they could become the equivalent to any white person. They never asked for freedom for all St. Lucians. They petitioned the legislature for rights for themselves. From their point of view, they couldn't understand, look, I've got all this money, I've got this land. This white guy over here is telling me, something about him being better than me, etc. Let me change it by law so that basically it moves in my direction. The other thing with them was that while some of us were running into the hills and wanting to start revolution, a number of them increased the militias that they owned to go and hunt runaway slaves. So I think there was a higher proportion of militias owned by the free coloreds in contrast to the militias owned by white people in St. Lucia. Because, and the other kind of thing with the free coloreds, not all of them were colored, some of them were jet black. So
yes,
the notions of slavery in the St. Lucian case bring you into issues of ideology, because you've got this kind of movement of the free coloreds, but at the same time, when the French Revolution was announced, we got guns given to us by white people to go and kill other white people. So you had that kind of thing going on. The guns came from Guadeloupe. And the St. Lucians, or the representatives, went to the Revolutionary Council in Martinique. And one of their phrases was Nous bénissons la Révolution, nous le pensons comme la plus belle ou jamais de sortie de la main des hommes. Nous jurons tous de vivre et combattre pour la défendre. We bless the revolution. We think it's the greatest gift ever given to mankind. We swear on our lives to fight and defend it. So for some St. Lucians, the revolution was the best thing they could ever have hoped for. For some others, this is, causing them problems. People are burning the plantations, people are killing them. And even then, the color thing was funny in that at least one of the revolutionaries was a black man who was married to or had a partner who was white. And in the slave master's column, it says, he's breaking the laws of the colors. He's mixing with white people. So you find yourself facing not only the natural wish to be free, but you're confronting ideology. Yeah.
Yes.
What was the ideology of the white people who gave black people guns to go and kill other white people.
or
Was
or
the
or
idea?
or the
So,
ideology of the black people who were well established and
mm,
trying to hold on to their establishment, which is not a bad thing, right?
no,
I
but
mean, from their point of view, right? I mean,
from
we can sit here and do from the African
mm,
point of view for everyone, but
mm,
at a certain point, when you have fought to get your establishment
mm,
and your business and whatever you've done to get where you are,
achieve it. Mm,
exactly, it's not against black people, but it's sovereignty to who you are,
I'm
and you're
sure,
trying to
but
hold on to that. So you're not fighting against the black people, but you're establishing who you are in that particular thing. So I'm sure even those
I
people
I
had
I
a
I I agree with you. But the whole thing made me think of South Africa. At
Yeah.
one stage, the coloreds there also wanted, to protect their interests, but they weren't asking for the freedom of the majority. All they were
no,
interested.
I get that. I get that
Okay.
100%. But from a
Uh,
personal point of view, just like Dr. Albright talks about when slavery, or when you talk about black people enslaving other black people.
oh, sure, sure.
And what she talks about is, yeah, that's all cool, but which one of your children are you willing to sacrifice
Mm.
to
For
not
that
be the
freedom.
one to go get these slaves, right? Like
Yeah,
she talked
yeah.
about that, right? So I'm not saying that one is right or wrong. I'm just saying from an individual point of view,
Sure,
you're
sure.
trying to establish who you are and your family. And you feel it's not your responsibility to do it for all black people.
Well,
You just want to do it for your family.
I agree with you. Hence, what I'm saying is, look, it's interesting in the Saint Lucian case. We're getting into ideology rather than black and white
It's not,
only.
but what I'm saying is not Saint Lucian. It's all
Okay,
black people who
okay.
go through this, whether they're
Mm,
in Saint Lucia, whether they're in Cameroon, because
mm.
Dr. Aubrey made that
That's
specific point was, you know, the world talks about Africans enslaving other Africans, but
mm,
the point that she makes is when they come to you with guns and say they are going to kill your child, which one of your child are you going to sacrifice to not go and fight or go get other Africans?
I
We
understand.
don't
I
talk
mean,
about that.
the king of Dahomey had that problem. He
Mhm.
first of all refused to go into slavery. The Portuguese then gave guns to his neighbors, and he then had to set up a leader called the Yevegum who would coordinate the slave trade on his behalf. He never wanted to go into that. For me, it's a bit um, more painful, I guess, to all of us. It is, but I mean, particularly when you think of the Hausa states, who are, if you like, further inland, and they were some of the rulers of that part of Nigeria, and you hear some of the stories before the white people came. On the one hand, you get a picture of uh, slavery being more domestic, yeah, i.e., you're a servant, you get a promotion, you become part of the family. That was general. But as I told you with the Queen of Zaria example, castrated so many of the conquered Nupe, had a man, it is reported, and then after she sleeps with him, she kills him in the morning. Um, the the other kind of Hausa story is of a slave called Baking Waki, meaning black bean. And one day, Black Bean's master wanted to ride him. So the master jumped on Black Bean, etc., to ride him. Black Bean grabbed his legs and then jumped into a nearby fire and waited till both of them died. So there is a proverb in Hausa, Kadakayi kaunaba kingwaki. Don't do the reckless courage of Black Bean. Okay. So you at times look at it and you think, as I've described, it was a different system we were in, etc. But at other times, when you look at, the kind of horror of the situation, I guess in Caribbean terms, you just think, where's my cutlass? Where's my cutlass, man? Or I
Right,
suppose
right.
if you're a Black American, you say, well, where's my peace?
Absolutely.
That I agree with you, but I'm saying there's also a kind of gut feeling. I mean, I remember now, I was in the Gambia and some guy was hassling me about going into the museum. Yeah, he was a black guy. I don't know if he was doing his job or whatever. But the guy was hassling me, and there was a spear nearby. And for just one split second, I just thought, look, mother, let's deal with this. Yeah.
Right.
So I am aware of ideology. I'm aware of different types of slavery.
No,
But
that's why I appreciate you saying ideology, because we can't get pegged into one way of
that's true.
thinking.
No,
And
I agree. I agree. But in another case, in the Nigerian example, some guy was hassling me, and I was in this bus, not bus, a car, and these guys drive at 100 and something an hour. And he'd done something and he had to pay me, and he wasn't paying me. I was young and full of energy. My hand went out and I grabbed his throat and I started to squeeze. The people at the back were saying, oh, I beg, oh, you go kill us for naira. I beg, you're going to kill us only for money. But for me, as a young student, it was important to me. This guy was hassling me, you know. So there are, I don't know.
no,
There
you're
are
right. You're
times
right.
okay, I have some of my mother's blood. His
All right.
mother owes me money.
So before you go on, I want to make sure we get Brother Boris in there because he's been waiting a long
Sorry.
time. That's okay.
Uh-huh.
Brother Boris has been waiting a long time, him and his
Sorry.
wife. So I want to make sure they get an opportunity to speak before they have to jump off. Go ahead, Brother Boris.
Hello everyone. Actually, good night from our side. My husband is now out, he's sleeping, but I
See,
am
see,
so
see, see how y'all
enjoying.
do? Like you never know who's the one that's going to be talking. And now you're
Yeah,
talking. I'm introducing Boris, and it's you that's talking. So all right, go ahead. I'm done.
no, it's no. Yeah, thank you so much for allowing me to speak, and I'm so grateful for this presentation tonight. Like, I'm learning so much, and this is interesting to me, particularly because I'm currently doing my thesis on identity and migration, and I'm
Mhm.
speaking about French Caribbean literature.
So first of
Very
all,
good.
let's tell everybody where you're from.
So, hi everyone. I'm from Jamaica.
Mhm.
So, Dr. Dalphinis, you're actually my brother. We're from close
Yes,
by.
yes.
Yes, and I'm married to Boris, who is from Cameroon. So,
Oh, very
there you
good.
go. Yes. So I'm very happy to be here. So I have a question. Well, I had several that came up to my mind because there's so much to open up, unpack. But I want to know, do you have any idea of the identities of people who so the enslaved Africans who migrated to Saint Lucia, for example, the tea Congos or the tea Guinea. Do you know anything at all about who they were? Like, what were their professions? Is there any
No, no.
documentation?
You could sift the slave records, but they never gave you such information. It's usually a kind of what's their name, what name will I give them, etc. In terms of professions, very, very little, if any. Um, in terms of identity, I mean, I I I don't know how you'd approach that much. Um, you're probably familiar with this book, Rue Casneg, Black Shack Alley.
Yes, yes. I'm yet to read
Set
it,
it,
this one, but I am definitely aware of Rukasnik. Yeah.
yeah. So in a sense, if I was looking for identity, I'd start in terms of the history,
Yeah.
and some of the descriptions that come through some of these works. There's a guy from St. Lucia called Earl Long, and he's written some novels within the St. Lucian background, which touch on issues of identity. There's a lady called Maryse Condé.
Oh, yes,
Um,
she's one
def-
of one of the books some of the books I'm working on are written
okay,
by Marie Condé. Yes.
okay. There's Derek Walcott, the poet from
Mhm.
St. Lucia, and you could get a great deal out of identity on that. Um, okay, there's my book of poems called Bois d'Ifet, which means firewood, in which I basically write poems, but dominantly they take on some of the identity of my grandfather or my two grandfathers, grandmothers, etc. There are other kind of poets. What forgotten it? There's a book published by a guy called. Um, I I best take it out and send you the name because I may forget. But it was a collection of Creole poems
Mhm.
um, spanning Haiti, St. Lucia, etc., even Louisiana. So I think you'd be able to get something from there. Um,
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean the classic work for me is Frantz Fanon, Black Skin,
Mhm.
White Masks. Uh,
Mhm.
how did he write that book? Why did he write it in that particular way, etc. So I think for me, what I'd recommend is coming through the history and then looking at the novel or whatever is being created within it.
Right.
Um, that's as far as I can think of. If anything else comes to mind,
So
I
what I would
will.
say, Dr. Daphne, is if you could share some of those books with Brother
Mm,
Malcolm,
mm.
uh, to
I,
Kassan,
he. Okay.
yeah, because you're throwing a lot of knowledge out, and we can't catch
Mhm.
it all at one time. But
No, I understand.
to
No problem.
Chrisan, yes, you have brought up some particular points.
It's
And first of all, I'd like
identity.
to say y'all got a pretty cool picture there. And you are no longer Jamaican. You are Bamaleke because
Officially
I see you all in the
Bamileke, yeah.
Bamaleke stuff.
Well, okay.
Yes.
Very
That
good.
was for a traditional wedding, yes.
Yes, I see the
That's
whole thing.
excellent.
Like I don't see Jamaican in there. This picture that's sitting up here, I couldn't tell. I just see all Bamaleke and then dope. So Boris has done a great job.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
what I would say though is that is, some tremendous insight, right? So how do we begin to Saint Lucia, Jamaica, and I think there was a couple other ones that Dr. Aubrey pointed out that had a specific to the Bamaleke no, not Bamaleke, but Cameroon. How do we begin to talk about this on a national level, right? A Caribbean level, not just, St. Lucia or Puerto Rico, Jamaica, Haiti, Dominica. How do we talk about this on a whole nother global level of the Caribbean?
Well,
And we bring the specialists, right? Dr. Dalphinis, Dr. Aubrey, to really look at and say, how do we begin to because we understand based on Dr. Aubrey's research that so many Africans went to these places, right? Whether it's all those places, whether it's South America, and from what I've seen, the North America was the smallest part because most of it went to those places for the sugar, the rum, all that other stuff that they were doing. So how do we begin to develop a system or develop an approach where we have Kristen in Jamaica, we have Dr. Daphnis in Saint Lucia, we have
We also got Professor
some
Amadou
other
on the
people,
call.
huh?
Professor Amadou is on the call as well. I was going to let him speak also after.
Who's that?
Professor Amadou.
Yeah, but before him, I'm just talking about the people who are in the Caribbean, right? Uh, all the people who are in the Caribbean, how do we get them together to begin to talk about how do we attack that? Because once we attack that, like that is the bulk of where Africans went, right? They went there before they went to South America. They went there before they went to um, North America, Mexico and all these other places. Um, and the fact that all these places have a strong, still cultural connection to Africa. Now, United States doesn't, North America doesn't, but if you look at Brazil, they still have a strong tie to Africa. If you look at Colombia, they still have a strong tie to Africa. On my maternal side is Balanta. There is still people in Colombia that their last name is Balanta. Like, how do we begin?
Sorry.
Hmm?
Is it Balata or Balanta?
Balanta, right? Balanta. Because what
Okay,
I've learned is Ba is the people and Lanta is actually the place.
That's one interpretation. Another interpretation is there's an ethnic group called the Balanta in Senegambia along the river Casamus. Okay? And what those guys did, along with the Casas people, was they'd burn Portuguese boats inside of the river to stop slave trading. So
correct.
If you're Balanta, I'm very pleased to meet you.
So I am Balanta on my maternal side, but we have found Balanta in Colombia, South America, that still hold the name Balanta. That is their
Very good.
last name. They chose to keep that, and they're like the ones who went up in the hills and ran away from the slave trade. So, you know,
Well, my advice on all of this is it's something I want to talk with Dr. Aubrey about is, first of all, get the titles of all of the books. Because, I mean, there's a Barbadian lady who specializes on the Kikongo people into the Caribbean. There's a lady from Trinidad who specializes in terms of the Yoruba people in Trinidad. I think all of these sources need to be brought together. My second thing is to find out what other conferences on this topic have already happened. Yeah. And then from there, move on. But I definitely, since my listening to Dr. Aubrey, that was one of the things on my mind. In fact, there's also a latest book by a lady from, where is this place? Grenada. And she was looking at the Yoruba influences in Grenada. So I think many of us have covered the ground individually. Yeah. I think now's the time to look across and see if the discussion has already happened, and then to move the discussion forward. So basically, I
so
agree with you.
so absolutely. So I would challenge Brother Montcalm to get the two of you together with Dr. Aubrey. If you're not already together, let's look at that. Whatever I can do to help. But I know, Kristen, did that answer all your questions, or do you have anything else?
Uh, yes, I just also wanted to make another comment.
Go ahead.
So yes, Dr. Delphinis, you were talking about the pouring of rum and so on, and that just rang a bell in my head because to this day in Jamaican culture or popular culture, like for example, when someone dies and they're
Mm,
doing the digging, we call it the digging when you go and dig the grave. So this
mm,
is especially in the countryside, this is a like a community event, and
mm.
they would generally pour rum on the grounds and so on. And yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if they chant so much nowadays, but that's
Mm,
one. And another um uh, where situation in which rum might be used is, for example, when building a house for the
mm.
foundations, they
Oh
would
yeah.
generally uh, they would spray rum. Sometimes they would put
Well,
it in the mouth and then they use their mouth and spray it all over. Um,
well,
Not all
well,
families
definitely.
practice this because things have
Mm,
changed over time, and some see it in a bad way. But we still have even the cook, like for example, killing of the chicken and
mm.
sprinkling the chicken for the
The
foundation. So
blood
like
for
the
the
blood,
Viv.
right? Yeah. So we
Mm.
have these kinds of things that are common, even though we're miles apart from Saint Lucia. You see
Oh,
how
for sure.
strong the African blood is in us. Like there are so many practices that we keep uh,
Sure.
going on
Be,
to this day.
yeah, because if you like, I mean, although we split up within West Africa, we're often related. So that, let's say, the Yoruba are definitely related to the Fon, uh, going down in terms of West Africa. And I mean, in terms of the Ghanaian languages, they talk about different languages being a 1 day language from this one, a 2 day language from the other one, and they all see each other as Akan. So there are many things that, despite our many conflicts in the African setting, where generally lots of groups were or are related. And in terms of languages, our languages are more related or closer to each other than European languages are to each other. But, you know, it's two questions. Do we want some of these relationships? I mean, the guys left to become Bantus because they thought they'd get more space, and they didn't like the feudal setups in West Africa. Do they want to come back to West Africa, or was it just an ancestry that happened and now we're on our way to becoming Shaka Zulu? So, that's the kind of thing. But definitely the question of the four posts in the house. In the St. Lucian case, we'd probably put a spell in each corner, with some liquid, etc. So that I can understand. The other thing that comes to mind in a Jamaican story I read, the person was talking about being possessed. And again, the image was that the spirit possessed them as if a horse being ridden. And typically that's a typical way of describing possession among the Hausa. I'm not saying that the Jamaicans had anything to do with the Hausa, but given some of our past heritages, it's important, I think, to not only look at the languages that we see now, but the relationships indicated in the past. But definitely that one, where you'd say, "Ya hawani," it rode me. So there are many stories. Oh yeah, was it Ser Kimbori Sule Aquana Anna Sule Ser Kimbori Sule. Sule is the king of spirit possession. He sleeps, but he's being possessed. So you have this notion of that, and then and the idea is you're being written. And in certainly one Jamaican story that I read, it was the same concept of somebody being ridden.
So Dr. Dalphinis, what I would say is, based on what you're talking about, is that especially if you come from a Pentecostal in America.
Okay.
That is true. So I have dealt with that in Pentecostal and African religion. So it is true that those things happen, at least from my point of view. It's not something that you can really put into words. It's something that happens to you.
I understand. Where the place I was staying in Hausaland, or in Kanu, the city, I was sleeping up the stairs. Suddenly I heard a noise downstairs. Ew! And I came down the stairs, and there was a guy with his legs and his arms poking out of the window. And what happened, according to him and the crowd nearby, a spirit had ridden him. So it had pushed him to jump out of the window in that way. So the next day, he was going around the town with his chasbi, his Muslim prayer beads. Just think of Catholics with their beads, Hail
Mhm.
Mary, Mother of God, you know. But this guy, because he's a Muslim, is doing his prayer beads, in order that that kind of spirit does not ride him, you know.
So I would say this. Um, yes, because in the Christian and Muslim
Mm,
uh, way of life, that is
mm,
not the whole thing is to take it away from African. So it is
mhm.
not promoted, even though it continues to still happen.
Oh,
But
sure.
one of the things that I would say is the reason why our young people are so confused and we're not moving forward is because we don't understand that part of our life.
Mm,
And since I have dealt with that on the Christian part and more especially in the African way of living,
mm,
and understand that that's not a gift, it's not nothing that's way out here. That's just a part of our science
mm,
that we need to begin to continue to understand.
mm,
And once we understand that, we will get our kids back. The reason why they're out there being crazy is because they have all these certain energies that no one
mm.
can help them understand. I am going to get
Okay.
off my soapbox because I want Brother Montcalm,
Sorry.
because I'll go deep into this. But Brother Montcalm, I know he has something to say, so we're going to have him, and then I think he's the last one. If anyone else has anything else, uh, you all can keep on going. But I got to go see my brother. But go ahead, Brother Montcalm.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, my brother. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Dalphinis. So that was a very, very good presentation you just did there. And then also,
Mm,
thank you for the book. I started reading it. And then for
no problem.
being in London, because we had a fantastic time 2 weeks ago in London, yeah. So
Yeah, and I have to thank you for my Bameleke
oh yes, I
shirt.
noticed that. I noticed that
So I am I am properly dressed.
yeah, you can leave it now. So I was reading your book, I think on page 9, where you were speaking about how the practice by Saint Lucian of certain spiritual and cultural tradition, such as the burial of the child umbilical cord.
Umbilical cord.
Yes, so that's what happened to mine. So I was just wondering if they're still doing that today, if it was like an
Or,
old
or
thing.
they probably may do it less, but that one is deep within the tradition. You take the umbilical cord and you plant it under a young tree or a coconut.
Mm,
And the thing that may change is that in the past, you were allowed to go to that tree and harvest the fruit, etc., and say, look, it's my, c'est pied bois long buis moins. It's the tree of my umbilical cord. So no matter whose land it was on. But, I don't know if people would be keen to go on other people's land for that kind of purpose in the modern time. But as a practice, I would expect that in some shape or other, it's still going along because it's so instinctive, within the St. Lucian tradition. Um, but yes, that's what we do.
yeah, because we're still doing that in Cameroon today, not only with the Bamileke, because I spoke to
Hmm.
a sister in this chat. I think she lived in Nigeria for a couple of years, and then she
Mm.
actually did the same thing. So she took it and then she put it under the banana tree, and then that's what we do in the western part of Cameroon. So
Well,
mine was also
I, I I went back to St. Lucia to put my sons under a tree,
uh,
etc. But that was just because, well, it comes to ideas of identity. well, you know, if you are in this setup which has got
Mhm.
such markers of identity, you're likely to go and repeat it.
Well,
Yeah.
so my second question is on the book In Search of Limbia. I think that's for the two of you actually. So
Yes, for sure.
on page 205, Dr. Aubrey spoke about the hawk enslaved ship who went to Saint Lucia in
Mm,
1780. And then on page 208 as well, there's another one who went to Saint Lucia,
mm,
which is called the Adventure 1784, went to Saint Lucia.
mm.
So
And,
I went online.
mm.
That was the first thing I did, see if I can identify them two enslaved ship, and I was able to find them. So how can that information actually help a Saint Lucian to
Well,
find more information
definitely.
about them, about who they are? That's for
Yeah, I mean
two of you.
If
that
I
that
can
I
just,
don't know, but
Hold
I
on. Let
sorry.
Dr. Aubrey kind of
Yeah.
no,
frame that, and then Dr. Phineas can finish off.
I would just like
Yep.
to say there are three so far.
Okay.
There are three, and I want to say so far because we are still researching disembarkations. There
Mm,
are a number of ships that we don't know the disembarkations yet. So
mm,
at least three, and also know that of the 221 ships, that's the beginning. So that's not all of the ships. As we continue the research, we're likely to find more.
Yeah.
But what is in the book, you are absolutely right. There are three from
Yeah.
the Cameroon
Mhm.
territory that disembarked
Yeah.
in Saint Lucia. And the numbers of men, women, and children disembarked are also indicated in the book.
Right, but he doesn't
okay.
he doesn't have the new book. He has the old book. So
I've got the
he
old book.
has the 100 and something, but not the
Uh,
221.
okay, so
Okay.
you see, we need to get the new book as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
For
I
those
will
of you who
I will
speak French,
happily share. I will happily share the more information. I already put something in the chat. So I'll
Mm,
share the numbers. I'll share what I can in the chat.
much appreciated.
Oh, sure, sure.
Because that then gives another layer in terms of looking at the St. Lucian case.
well,
Yes.
I think like you said, if the two of you get together, that there will be some synergy and
Oh,
some,
for sure.
based on the linkage. But I would also like to go back with Croissant and talk about how do we begin to develop a program. And this is something you may have already talked about, Dr. Albright, but throughout the Caribbean, right? We know that Grenada was one of the major places that, at least from Cameroon's point of view, that people went. But
Yeah.
the Caribbean has been
Yeah.
one of the greater places in South America for all Africans who have come out of this episode. So, how do we begin to talk about identifying who these people are so that we can get some real uh, even if it's Saint Lucia, right? Who are the people that's really in Saint Lucia? Like what are their identities? What are their lineages? And begin to categorize that through Jamaica and all throughout the Caribbean. I think that would be a major piece that we can do.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think
Well, I agree.
we already got a meeting book with Dr. Aubrey and Dr. Dalphinis. So straight after this call, so we're gonna communicate. Yeah.
Right.
I
So does
think
anyone
Wayne,
else have any questions? Yeah, there is a lot of static on my end too, Dr. Albright. It kind of went away
there's a
now.
Wayne Baker wants
Yeah,
to ask a question.
Wayne had a question. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I missed his hand up. Go ahead, Wayne.
Oh, that's no problem. Well, first of all, I wanted to talk about, I think it kind of went over everybody's head when he said that, you know, the beginning of humanity started in the Rift Valley. A lot of us, we tend to think, because we were raised Christian, that, everything started either in the Middle East or we think Ethiopia. But like he said, it was the Rift Valley. And if everybody don't mind, I would like to just share something real quick.
Go ahead.
Can I share my screen?
I think brother Malcolm had to let you do that.
Yeah, anyone can share. That's perfect.
Yeah, go ahead, Wayne.
Let me see if I can share. Can you see my screen?
You can.
No, we don't see it.
Let me see. Try it again.
There you go.
That's not.
Got you.
I didn't want to share my face to everybody.
Hi there.
Hold on. Give me 1 second.
But you do look like Cameroonian, so it's all good. We finally got to see
you. Stop sharing that.
Okay, go ahead, brother.
Can't quite see what to do. But I'm
if you're
what I
doing
wanted
it from
to
your
show
phone, it may be a little different.
Yeah. I think that's the issue. I'm sharing through my phone. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to share Living DNA. That's a company, something like Ancestry or another company. And I just wanted to show everybody the site so I could verify to everyone what he was talking about when he said the Rift Valley. I don't look like I'm able to share, but this is more towards me and you, Gordon.
And the reason why you said that is because we are both Balanta for maternal, and Bamaleke for paternal. Even if it's switched around, we have that connection both on our maternal and paternal side with Bamaleke and Balanta.
Yes, and what my DNA shows is we started in Mozambique, and we went up. So we started in the Rift Valley, like he was saying, and we went up. We went down the Nile to Ethiopia, to Egypt, and then to Guinea-Bissau. And the for my Bamileke side, now we all have to keep in mind that we can all be Bamileke or whatever, but our haplogroups can be different. Like in my particular case, I've got a lot of I've got where it started. My DNA started in Somalia for my Bamileke. It went up to Ethiopia, and then it started in Somalia, went up to Ethiopia, then to Eritrea, and then to Djibouti, and it left the right hand side of Africa, and it went to like Jordan and places in the Middle East, and then it finally got to Cameroon. Now, Brother Malcolm or even Brother Gordon, they might, we're all going to be E1, B1, B1A. But what I'm talking about is the different haplotypes. So I have more of a Cushitic background, and my Bamileke DNA is from Manchoria, which was Nubia. That was after the Axumites, took over. Well, they invaded and basically took over the Kushites. So that's how the Kushites came to an end. But Manchoria is one of the three Nubian Christian, was one of the three Christian nations. So I just kind of wanted to share that with everybody.
Okay, brother,
And I appreciate that.
Is it the website you wanted to share here?
Yeah,
he was just trying to walk through where he came from, and I definitely appreciate that. You know what I mean?
Thank you, brother.
What I would say is that we're all going to walk through a different kind of place through this, and I appreciate Brother Baker walking us through that, because we're all going to come from a different kind of. We're all going to come from a haplogroup, but then we're all going to come from a different place in that. I think that's what he was trying to share.
Yeah,
as we walk through that, we understand that we're Bamileke. We understand that we are Mafa, Masa, Katoko from Ifong, from Gabon. Like, all these different things matter. But what matters at the end, for me at least, is that we understand who we are and how we're walking through what the ancestors brought us to. Like, I look at Dr. Aubrey and say, like, the what she had to go through to understand her path, through the people, through the challenges, to the problems, to get this particular book up there, right? When I look at Dr. Dalphinis and say he had to go through Saint Lucia, he had to go through Yoruba, Hausa, I'm just saying the names he said, and all these other ones that have come through him to understand who he is, to understand who Jerry has to come through to. Listen, he's moving a whole house, a whole structure to put on a different place. Like, we are a very strong people in understanding who we are, our language, our lineage, our spirituality. Like, to me, the most important thing is our spirituality, which comes through language, right? Like, there is nothing else that for me that makes sense, because we have to put these things together, and it only comes through our understanding of that central point of our spiritual being. So I just appreciate everyone being here. Deborah, did you have anything to share with us?
I do. This was very informative. Thank you, Cousin Malcolm, for the invitation. It was good seeing you, Cousin Jerry, and I would love to attend any future presentations that you all have in the future.
Well, I thank you for being here and your kind words. This is all about us, right? We're trying to set a stage for you to learn what you need to learn, what the ancestors called you to do, right? So Deborah, there's something that the ancestors called you to do. We are just a piece of that.
I agree.
To hopefully get you to another level.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't mind me asking.
No.
And if you don't, I was going to ask anyway. For you to be here today, what caused you to be here today?
I received the invitation. I had taken a sabbatical, so to speak, because I kind of got burnt out on researching my family. I do know that we are descendants of the Fulani tribe in Nigeria, and from the Gachi family.
Yep.
And so we met them, and I just kind of got burned out, and there's been a couple of cousins that's reached out to me on Ancestry, and slowly but surely, I'm getting back into getting the zeal back to do the research. But I know
Yay.
my family has the zeal that I had to just know where I came from and know my family
So,
history.
so what I would say is that is the exact reason that we have this platform,
Mm-hmm.
because I have realized from talking, from first of all, going through it myself
Mm-hmm.
and being on AfricanAncestry.com online community, most people that the ancestors call
Mm.
to do
That part.
this,
That part.
right?
Yes.
I'm just trying to walk through it with you. Maybe
Okay.
I'm just trying to walk through it with you.
I feel you. Yes.
That we, at the end of the day, don't have anyone to come around to
Mm-hmm.
understand what we went through to even do this,
Right. Exactly.
right? So when I did it, I shared it with my brothers, my sisters, my aunts and uncles, and everybody was like, ah, okay. And I'm
Right.
like, wait, okay? What do you mean, okay?
Yes.
I have spent a lot of money to do this. I have
Mm-hmm.
went through anguish of sending this thing in, scared that I didn't do it right. And when they said I did it right, they said that it was this, and I didn't even know what a Cameroon was.
Mm-hmm.
And I went through this whole ordeal. Like let's get to the point of, even before we learn who we are, like the whole process is, for most people, I'm not gonna say most people, I'm just gonna say myself,
Okay.
was a trigger.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't know, and when it came back Cameroon, I was like, what the hell is Cameroon? I had no idea. Now, not that I haven't heard of it, but in most people's mind, it's going to be somewhere in Nigeria or Ghana. So when it did come back Cameroon, um, thank the ancestors, because there was someone who I had been a friend with for the last 15 years, or it was 10 years at the time,
Wow.
that me and him was cool, like African, born in Cameroon, Bamaleke. So when I told him, he was like, "What, you're Bamaleke?" He like did cartwheels.
Okay.
All I'm saying is that I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're a part of this. And hopefully you can get something from this, because that's what this platform that Malcolm has provided is for,
Mm-hmm.
right? Is that sometimes we go through these things, but there's no one there to share the anguish, the craziness, the thoughts that we have.
Yes.
Um, and when I was talking, I seen you agreed with some of the things I was saying.
Yes. Yes.
But I'm glad you're here. Like, if you have any questions, concerns, comments, I don't care what they are, you can reach out to me, Brother Moncomb, Brother Jerry, whoever,
Okay.
to get those questions answered.
Okay.
And I say this real quickly about her. She didn't tell. I got to tell it, cousin.
Okay.
She
Go ahead,
talked.
cousin.
Yeah, she told about her. And before I say that, you look well. It's good to see you again.
Thank you. Thank you. You too.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
This is an avid fisherman right here. She don't catch little fish. She catch those big fish. This
That's
is a fisherman. love fishing.
Love
She
it.
loves it. I just want to tell that she and I used to go back.
Deborah, where are you from?
I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, born and raised.
I'm coming because I like to get on Ohio and fish for some bass.
Yes, that's what I do.
That's her.
Yeah.
That's her.
I'm coming, Cincinnati. Say less. I'm on my way.
My personal best is 10 pounds. So yeah.
I don't have a personal best. My personal best is that I caught one that day that I was there. So I'm coming to Cincinnati. We're gonna get some fish.
Okay.
And that's what it is. So I appreciate everyone that's here. Let me see who's still on here.
Nice to meet you, Deborah. Nice to meet you.
Thank you so much. Likewise.
Yes. Thank you.
Can I ask this real quickly to Dr. Morgan? I have a Southern Bantu, Eastern Bantu, and Western Bantu. Those tribes, I know most of them, would that have also had some ties with Shaka Zulu coming through enslavement here as well? You're muted. You're muted.
Yeah, I can't even see who it is now. You still got the
Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, the Bantus would be all of those down south, and Shaka Zulu would be part of it. But in terms of his kingdom making, he was mainly interested in conquering and also absorbing people into him.
Yes.
So that I don't think he'd be as interested in selling people because
he was trying to stop it.
I don't know those details about his development of his kingdom, but most of it was about absorbing people who were conquered to become Zulu.
Yeah,
absolutely. So let me get two other people in here that I see.
Thank you.
Bergenline, and I apologize if I'm saying that wrong. Or Brother Conchu that has just come in. Brother Conchu or Bergenline Domu. And I apologize for not getting the names right, but if you tell me that, I will get it right the next time. Brother Conchu, if you are talking, you are still on mute.
Okay.
And Bergerline Domu. So if they are not coming on, does anyone have any last comments?
Hello.
Concerns? Yes. How are you
Are
doing?
you getting me?
Yes. Now tell me your name.
You put my name in English, but in French is Bergeline.
Okay.
Bergeline Domu.
Yeah. I could only go from English. I don't know French. So say it again. Say it again.
Bergeline Domu.
So Bergeline Domu.
Yes, that's my name.
Bergeline Domu. So we're going to hear from Bergeline Domu.
I was not prepared to talk because it's my first time to join.
And I know that. So share anyway.
Yes, I'm in Yaoundé, so I'm a Cameroonian. I'm talking from Yaoundé, and I came late. I came in the conversation. I've joined the conversation very late because we have an issue with electricity here. So it's very late that I joined, and it's easy for me to really say something about the conversation. But I know it was about languages African languages that we found in Caribbean. I think
Yes.
that was the conversation. I'm a touristic guide. Interested in bringing, what can I say, selling Cameroon in general, showing Cameroon in general, but also with the specificities to link African American or African abroad to their how can I say, to their village. Yes, to their village. And for 3 times, I brought some African American to Bankim, which is where many of Cameroonian were captured to as slaves. So I will just introduce this little of me, and maybe next time I will have, I can intervene longer, and maybe more, I can say more interesting things than what I'm saying now. But I was very happy to join the conversation. Thanks to Dr. Seu and Dr. Amadou Seu, and also to Andre Conchu, who has been talking to me about this group for long. So thank you.
Let me ask you if you can, and I'm taking it you can understand English. So when you talk about connecting people to their village, what do you mean by that?
Let me put it one by one. So an African American just say, contact me. I made my DNA. It shows that I'm a Cameroonian, and that I'm, how do we say, people from Bankim? It's getting okay. Out of my mouth. Yes.
Yeah, I understand.
So I would like to see the place where I am from. Would you like to bring me there? I say, yes, I will. But first of all, let us have a little round of let us have like the roots of slave in Cameroon. So I will bring the person to Bimbia. I will bring the person to some places in Douala. Then we will go also in Bangu. This is West Cameroon, where they have a slave market. And then we will go to...
So let me ask you, before you go through all of that, let me ask you this, because this is very powerful. Very, very powerful. So you're going to walk them through everything, but let's say a person cannot come to Cameroon. How do you help them understand where they come from?
They are the one up to now. They are the one informing me that they are Cameroonian after making their DNA tests.
Mm-hmm.
The DNA tests showing that they are from Cameroon.
Unity. Event starting Friday brings together North Preston, East Preston, Harrybrook, and Lake.
Hold on.
Sorry guys, I don't know what's happened there.
Yeah, I'm trying to mute everyone.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So as I was saying, they are the one showing me their DNA result that shows that they are from Cameroon in certain, with a high percentage, linking them to Tika. And the heart of Tika is in Bankim. So I have to bring them in Bankim. But I don't have only to bring them in Bankim. I have to let them see first where their ancestors have gone through. I will we will have a small tour in these places in Douala, in Southwest Bibia, and have a talk like with one or two persons. That can be teachers or researcher working on slavery. So after that, we went we go to Bankim, which is what I will say the heart of the Tika. So this is quickly said what I used to do, and in Tika there are some connection, there are some rights that are made them to connect to link. Yes, to connect the newcomer, if I can say so, with their ancestor or with the tribes, with the tribe, if I can say so. So this is quickly said about what I do concerning African American.
Okay, so what I heard was you once you understand who they are, you try to connect them to their tribe. And
yes,
from that point, they'll be connected, and yeah, I think that's what I heard.
Pardon? Did not get the last.
Yeah, so Brother Malcolm. It doesn't look like he's still on.
Hello, Master.
Hello, my sister, my sister.
To connect Chinga à
Hello.
Yaoundé.
Comment?
To connect Chinga, l'espace Chinga.
Chinga, yes, bien sûr. Ça, c'est à Yaoundé, chez moi, ici.
Mais c'est ça, j'habite là-bas aussi. Je m'appelle Lisa Aubry.
Je connais très bien Lisa Aubry. Très bien.
C'est moi.
Yes. Oui.
À Guaquele.
OK. On a raté, je crois, vous étiez au dernier festival de Ngone, je crois.
Mais oui.
Non. Oui, et on a manqué de se rencontrer parce que on a essayé de nous connecter, mais vous étiez déjà partis.
D'accord. So,
yes.
Rest of the group, I'll switch to English. I just wanted to say hello and to tell you that I live in Chinga as well. So, Brother Mal, thank you. And our sister, I'm so happy to hear your voice in this conversation today.
It's really a pleasure. I think I don't know how to thank Dr. Seu because he sent me the link. Yes. And for long, we know you know that we rely on your work to do what.
Oh, thank you.
So Dr. Aubrey, I'm gonna let you interpret.
Okay. Her voice went out. I heard a bit, but her voice out. And as I understand, our brother Sehu Amadou, Prof, my colleague, is also on the call, huh?
He was. I don't see him now.
Well, and she said that they were having some electricity connection.
Yeah.
Now I'm going. They're having some Just connectivity.
Right, right. But Brother Conchu is still on. If he
So
can jump on.
going back to your sister who just spoke now,
Yeah.
Professor Amadu sent me her phone number and she's supposed to call me. So we're gonna have a conversation then. We can all connect. We can see how we can work together. I know that Dr. Aubrey, just before COVID, Dr. Aubrey and I, we was trying to work on some trip. You know, she was having some reconnection trip in Cameroon. So
Yes.
we can also see how we
Yeah.
can come back to that because we can see how we
And
can come back to.
I mean, we have to. We must do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what I would say is let's figure out how we can come back in the next 2 weeks with everyone that's on here. But I want to get Sister Lanny because her hand's been raised for a while. And then once we have Sister Lanny, we're gonna because we are way over where we said we were gonna be. And I'm okay with that, but I want to be respectful of people's time. Sister Lanny?
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
hello.
Actually, my question was for Sister Bergeline, but I think she's gone now.
Oh, she's back.
Okay. So we'll come back to her. So make sure you write or put your question in the chat so that we can have it. So
Okay.
we can have it when we come back.
Excuse me.
I can see her there. She's back.
Okay. I thought I saw her back. Yeah.
Sister Bergeline?
Hello?
Ooh, this network.
I think there's a question there for you.
Sister Bergeline, are you there?
Yes.
Connection issues.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
connection issue. So let's come back to that.
Okay.
So the
So,
book
so
are
let's
there.
come back to that. Make sure you write your question down so we can get to that first when we come back.
I'm back.
Okay.
Sorry. Network. Sorry.
That's okay. If the network is good now, let's go ahead and ask the question. If the network goes out, then we'll come back to it the next time. But go ahead, Sister Lanny.
Okay,
But
so
it's okay. I'm
so
getting
you
you.
talk.
I'm back.
Okay.
Yes, Lani.
You spoke of connecting African Americans to their tribes in Cameroon, and I was wondering if you'd considered, for those who can't travel to Cameroon, maybe putting together some type of digital package for them. You know, maybe you could sell them a type of digital package where you visited their tribe, maybe interviewed the people and showed them the lands. Is that something you would consider?
A very interesting idea. I'm just paying it, and I'm happy that you are putting it now because we have this. We have by the end of the year, I will be in the West because we have this big festival. And I can start working on it now. Yes, I buy the idea. It's very interesting, and I can see how possible we can make it. I think with digital today, everything is possible, and I can draw something. Maybe we can keep we can keep in contact, and you can share.
So what festival are you going to be at this year?
One.
In Fumban.
In Fumban.
In Fuban?
Yeah.
Yes, in Fumban.
I saw a video of Dr.
But that's in Cameroon, right?
It's all over the social media.
But that's in Cameroon, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So my question would be, is there a festival in the US that you can be in? I know there is a all Cameroonian festival at the end of May in the United States in the DC, Maryland area. The only reason why I ask is because, like Sister Lanny was saying, one of the challenges we have as African Americans learning who we are is everyone says we have to go back to Africa to get whatever. And so what I would ask you is, at this point, as you learn about the African Americans and their lineage, how can you help them understand who they are, but not have to go back to Africa to do it?
Terrible question.
I think
Now, I understand because
Brother Gordon, what we can probably do.
Let me understand. Let me help you understand that, right? So, as far as me, is when I understood who I was, and then made a noble by the king of Bafasam, but he never gave me a name or a title. He said I had to come back to Africa to do that. And I understand that, but not everyone is going to be able to do that in the African American culture. So if you're coming and helping people understanding who they are or whatever, and they get a title, let's not even do a title. Understanding who they are and give them a name. If they have to come back to Africa to do that, then most of them will never do it. And I will say this, from my point of view, it has been very hard for me as a person who has been given a noble position, but not having a name or a title to go with that. So when I go to these Bamaleke events, and they introduce me as a noble, and I can't tell them a name or a title, it is very hard for us to be able to deal with that. That's the only thing I would say to everything that you're saying. And I've gone through this for the last 2 years, and people, they say you're noble, and people introduce me as that. Not me saying that. People introduce me as that, and they'll come to me and say, well, what's your name or what's your title? And I have neither.
Excuse me, if you would permit, because I'm born in U.S., I'm African, born in U.S., and my name is Lisa Aubrey. I've been blessed to live half my life in different African countries. And as you all know, I've done the research on Bimbia, and I continue to do the research. And speaking not only from experience in Cameroon, but I've lived in Kenya, I've lived in Ghana, I've worked in Southern Africa, spent a lot of time in Morocco. It's a blessing. And one of my responsibilities as a person of African descent is to share these blessings that I have had. Very quickly, because this can be a long conversation and might actually be a topic that you want to consider for a long discussion. I would say, yes, there are many things that can be done outside of the continent for those who are reconnecting with Africa. And at the same time, there are certain rituals. There are certain rituals, especially as you are talking of being a notable, of being in a royal family, of maybe having the gifts of a Kamsi and Gisi. There are certain rituals that must be done in Africa. So yes, your question is, I believe from my experience, there are things that can be done outside of the African continent, certainly. And a lot of the things that we maintain today, that connection is still there. And at the same time, there are certain things that must be done on the continent, and not just on the continent. If you are connected in a certain way to a particular place, then you need to go to places like Bankim. You need to go to places like Bimbia. You need to go to places like Douala. You need to go to places like Konsamba.
So I agree with you 100%.
Yes.
My question is, as we begin to open up this thing, and
Yeah.
the reason why you even got to Bimbia is because
Yes.
there's so many people in the diaspora that's now looking.
Yes.
And many of them will not be able to go, whether it's
Yes.
age, finances, whatever.
Yes.
How do we begin to transfer this information into Dr. Aubrey so that she can enable those people who are here in the US that can't go? I
Oh,
understand that there is a certain connection to Africa that we have to do,
yes.
but not everyone is going to be, as they learn about this, right? I
Yes.
just had a sister who was in her late 80s.
Yes.
When I shared this with her, she said, I did my African ancestry, I'm Bamaleke.
Yes.
I understand she's not going, whether it's financial, age, whatever, to Africa.
Mm-hmm.
But she shouldn't be denied the
Yes.
privilege and
Yes.
honor
Yes.
that she has. That's
Yes.
my only that's my
If
only
I
thing about all of this is
if
that
I
how do we
if I can respond,
yep.
one of the pilgrimages, one of the reasons I do the pilgrimages to Africa, and not only to Cameroon. Many people
Mm-hmm,
want to touch the ground. They want to go to
mm-hmm,
they want to see that, they want to meet the people. And that is applaudable, that is legitimate. We all understand.
absolutely.
At
Mm-hmm,
the same time, I have also been doing things, uh, uh, arranging programs, planning programs for people who cannot make the
mm,
pilgrimage. And I will send to ReConnected Grassfields. I will send you all some of the things that I have been doing in communities here, because there are also many Cameroonians that are in the areas where you live or where we live. So there are things that can be done. But we
the
also
one
must understand that one does not necessarily replace the pilgrimage experience. Not everyone is going to come from a royal lineage, for instance, right? So people who
mm-hmm,
come from a royal lineage may, I'm not saying that they do, but they may need to go to particular places. There are shrines. We're talking about there are shrines that exist that are part of our history. You can't replicate the shrine in the US. You can't replicate the shrine in Paris or in London, right? So there are things that can be done wherever we are in global Africa. And maybe this is our mission, our challenge. Maybe this is our mission to figure out what can be done in the different spaces that we are, because we can do it. I mean, we've been doing it. We've been doing it for a long
here
time. Yes.
absolutely. And so here's what my thing was when I really learned this and began to embrace it. Like in any king that you know that is here in America, their children have no connection to Cameroon in
Mm,
most cases. Not
mm,
all, but most cases. And so the thing I was asking the kings that I see is, how are your children going to connect with Cameroon? How are your children going to connect with the Bamaleke, the spiritual essence of who we are, if you don't bring it here? Because your children are never going back. Brother Malcolm's children are never going back to Cameroon. Anyone on here who has children who was born in Cameroon and now live here, they're not going back. But they need that culture, they need that spirituality for them to grow and be prosperous. And so if we don't have a way to bring Cameroon to the US, or not Cameroon, in particular Bamaleke or Tikar to the US, then their children will never experience the grandeur of being Bamaleke or Tikar. We will never experience the grandeur of, because in all honesty, the European way is, I don't care about you, Lisa Aubrey, but I know if you embrace Christianity, your kids will embrace it. Even if you're on the teeter, your children, because they never have gone back, will never embrace Cameroon. They will only embrace Christianity.
Well, I
That's
think
what
this
we got to
takes
get
us
away
back.
from.
The point that you're making, it takes us back to Dr. Dolphin's presentation when he was talking about the population in Saint Lucia today.
Yep.
So I think what you're saying is very important, and I really think that this is a discussion. This could be a discussion, a topic for discussion on one of the meeting days. What I can say, and maybe because I'm older than you and many people on the call, is that
you're not very much older than I am.
How our grandparents will tell us, "Oh, you will learn. You will learn." They don't pressure. They don't, because I know people going back to their villages in Africa today who never intended to go back. They know how to call us back. They know how to call us back. Yes. But you raised a very legitimate point. I will share with ReConnected Grassfields some of the things that we have done to ensure that everyone is embraced. And the reality is that some people will not make the travel back, but are also due and are owed to have a restoration of their identity and culture. I mean, it's they deserve to have it as much as everyone else.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the reasons that I also do what I do. So that's just my perspective. Marcel, I don't know if you want to add.
So I would say is, man.
Yes, I wanted to say something after all what my brother without name, with all the hats and everything without name.
Yes.
You have these hats and you don't have a name.
I got the wrong account. I've gone into ReConnected Grassfields account. I usually do not go into that, but it happened today. So I will change my name on there.
Yes. Following all what you said about those who cannot reconnect in Africa, talking about some Cameroonian or African children who've never been in Africa, I will say that, okay, concerning Cameroonian or African children who have never been in Africa, they already have their parent who were in Africa. They have families in Africa, so it will be easy for them as soon they decide. I also know most of the time about Cameroonian, most of them sometime cannot come back to Cameroon because of these political issues. Some of them have been, how can I say, have family problems, so they decide not to come back. But they have the family in place. They have a link. They have where they can land when they are in Africa. So it's less about financial or economic situation. Concerning the African American is another situation because they don't have a family in Africa. They have a village, we can quickly say like Bankim, and they have to connect. They have to really be there and reconnection is not like a one-day thing. No, it's many steps that you have to cross before being reconnected. So it's a ritual. It's not something just like, okay, you are in Bankim. It means that you reconnected with your ancestor. No. So there are some rituals that will bring water, that will bring leaves, that will bring the soil, that will bring people to connect you with the community. So I don't know how we can manage this out of the village, out of banking. I don't
what
know
I
how
would say
to.
is,
But if something can be done out of the village, out of banking, that we can consider as the starting block or the beginning of the reconnection. This is quickly what I can say.
So what I would say is, and thank you for all of that you just said. I mean, it just consolidates everything that we've been trying to do, especially with Brother Moncomb. This was his vision. So if so what we have been doing is connecting with the COMC to understand the village that we come from. And what we're doing now is I've got some ancestry DNA tests. So when I come there in August, we can test some people and verify the two things. One, that the African ancestry science is correct. And two, that the COMC science is correct. So if we can develop through you for being able to help people understand the village that they come from, I think that is part of what Brother Moncomb was trying to do, right? Is trying to connect people to where they come from and how can we begin to build that. So that's kind of where we're at right now, and we're going to continue to develop this over time. And I've kind of been the guinea pig on this, and I'm okay with that. And so we're just going to continue to march forward. But I would ask Brother Conchu, do you have anything to share?
Hi everyone. I'm sorry. I was doing many things at the same time, so
That's okay.
I I also joined very late and did not really get the presentation for our brother from Saint Louis on language and
Saint Lucia.
and exactly, and that's why I was more listening than talking, and because I was doing many things, that's why I could not answer when maybe you were trying to give me the word. So, but there are a lot of interesting things. Now I see Bergeline is speaking. I heard about Professor Lisa Aubrey speaking also a lot. We have the opportunity to know more about Bimbia and also this issue because of her book. I think I buy uh, um, the first book because I think now there's a second one. The first one, it's already maybe 8 or 9 years. I don't know how long I have the book
Yeah.
here with me. Yeah,
Yeah, you
exactly.
got to get the next
Thank
one.
you.
Sorry?
I said thank you. Merci.
Yeah, exactly. And we have been discussing about this issue with a lot of person also who knows her. And I can remember 2011 with Art Jammers, the first, maybe not the first, but many groups coming here, even the concert in Palais de Congrès and so on.
And we
So, yes.
C'était 2011. Yes, that was the first group. First.
Uh, exactly. So I'm just happy to see how even the group here is growing. The new topic we are discussing, it's very enriching for all of us. And yeah, I think for those who are really interested to reconnect, maybe by working together, we find the best ways to ease that for them and to make also, let's say, our community be stronger and to find also our ways, because it's not all about only reconnection. It's also looking at this world, how the things are moving, is to see how we can be stronger in the world. Yes, and maybe that's what I can quickly say. And I heard also Professor Aubrey say she's in Chinga. I'm between Chinga and Bastos, so maybe we are neighbor, and maybe we also have the chance to meet once day if you are in Cameroon for the moment.
Okay.
So what I would say is, as a step moving forward, if Dr. Albright and Dr. Dalphinis can get together on some of the things that they talked about, and then Dr. Albright and Brother Conchu can get together for some things to move forward. I think that at this point, as we look at everything we've talked about over the last few months, how do we develop a way to move forward? Now, for me personally, I am concerned about what's happening here on the U.S. soil, more on a spiritual program, right? Like, how do we help educate our young people who are doing things that other people think are crazy, but are in line of who we are, but they just don't know it. And there's no one there to share that, hey, yes, let's take this energy in this way and this energy in that way. And so what I've heard is that we need to develop a so-called rites of passage to begin to educate our young people, not just the African Americans, but the Africans who are Cameroonians in this particular instance, who their parents were born and raised in Africa, in Cameroon, but they were not. How do we help them to get the core of who they are? So what I look at is there's no difference between the African American and the African Cameroonian that's here right now and their children. Because if we don't develop a curriculum, let's say, like in Africa and Bafasam is the yin yang. I think that's the way it's pronounced. Maybe not.
Nyang nyang.
Say it again.
Nyang nyang.
Yeah, that's the one. I just didn't have the extra accent. Thank you for that. Right? It's when the young people, the young men are going through an initiation to becoming an adult. Right? Our young people are in gangs because that's what they're looking for, their DNA, but they don't know how to express it. How do we begin to develop those curriculums that those young people can go through and be strong African people in the world, not in the US, in the world, to lead? That's what we need to begin to think about developing, in my opinion. And other ones may have the way they, Sister Dr. Aubrey or Sister Lonnie may have things for the women, which definitely needs to be talked about. Like, I only know about the men because that's what I'm a man. That's what I look at. But the women have their culture, their initiations, and everything that they do. How do we begin to develop that so that our young people aren't feeling crazy when they express these things that are not defined by the current culture, when they are levitating, when they are going to see their grandmother and grandfather and no one can help them understand what that means, when they're having these dreams and they share them and they say you're crazy, but actually if it was in an African culture, oh wait, come here, let me figure out what that means. Right? That's what we need to begin to think about and cultivate within this group so that we can move forward. And as Dr. Daphne was talking about, like, how does culture play into that? How do we begin to implement culture? How do we begin to implement these griots, these sayings that we have gone through all of our lives, that I said just a few of them, and everyone on who was African American was like, yeah, they was able to finish it. Mm-hmm. And we thought that was crazy, but now we understand that is so important. Like, I didn't want to be my dad, but one day I felt like, wait a minute, I'm my dad. I'm saying the same crazy stuff that he said to young people, right? Like, I'm like, why am I doing that? I was not supposed to be my dad. But here I am. So I think that's what we need to begin to think about, develop curriculums around, develop, as Sister Lanny.
Just keep in mind that you have a curriculum builder here, so I'm open to being on that.
So you heard me say your name. You heard me say your name, right? Like
what I think is, I'm not sure that we can have an answer to your questions now, Prince Gordon Manka. I'm not sure that we can have an answer now. But I think it's a good point to start saying that maybe we can have a conversation around it in a more, how can I say, logical way, like having a workshop or like having a symposium or having, I don't know, a day or have a day thinking about it and raising question, trying solution, making analysis, and coming out with something.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's what I was going to suggest to bring it to meet together. So you got my phone number, Sister Bergelinia. I think Professor Amado gave you my phone number.
Yes, Dr. Sewu give me your number.
Exactly. So call me tomorrow, and then I'm going to add Brother Gordon to the call. We're going to have some discussion, and then when we got something set, we can come back over here and then present it. Because if you try, and we're not going to get a solution now.
tomorrow will be a bit difficult for me because Monday are always Black Monday, Black days.
Okay, anytime.
Whenever you have time. It doesn't have to be tomorrow.
Let us say on Tuesday. Tuesday is sure.
Anytime.
Yes.
Because I'm
Yes.
trying to get out of here. I've got a meeting with Dr. Morgan, Dr. Dalphinis, and then Dr. Obi straight after now. Because too late in the UK, I don't want to keep it too.
So let's cancel. So let's stop the meeting here. But I just want to say that I think all of you who have gotten on here today, that we have been able to bring some things together that can move things forward. And each and every one of you will be contacted in how you can help develop this, because this is not something that is organic to me, Brother Malcolm, or anyone else. We got to develop a pathway, a rites of passage per se, for our children. It's not about me. I'm 57 years old. I'm always questioning my longevity. But how can I help these young people to begin to understand who they are, stand tall, and grow in an African point of view and not a Eurocentric point of view that devalues people that are around them? So as Brother Malcolm puts all this together, we'll reach out to everyone and move forward. Does anyone have any other questions or comments before we go?
Thank Brother Morgan for his due diligence today. Lisa Aubrey, everybody that was here, that stayed here, I just want to say thank you. Thank you again to my cousin, Brother Malcolm, who does such a great job. Thank you, Brother Gordon, everybody. You all do great work. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
So
absolutely.
Much appreciated.
Anyone else?
We're just gonna, after everyone, we're just gonna have Dr. Morgan to stay in so we can have our chat.
Thank you.
Okay, bye. Thank you.
Thank you, family.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Mm-hmm.
Where to this?
Okay, I'm gonna
still have
if I can
Morrison.
If I can reach out to maybe Fishes.
Dr. Aubrey.
I'm gonna see if I can reach out to Dr. Aubrey. Thank you, Dr. Morgan. It was awesome.
No, it was a pleasure, although I think, well, for me, it's the path is what I said, which is look at other scholars, and check up on whether or not this type of thing has already been done. Yeah.
Okay, let me just quickly
and then
Dr. Aubrey. You're looking very smart. With your
yes,
your house are closed, so you can do this.
I have been levitating.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Oh, many thanks. Well, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm sorry it took a little bit longer.
No, it's what did I do today? No, on Sunday I go to the allotment